You probably remember the times where views and subscriber count were absolutely everything. And the issue is that a lot of people these days, they start YouTube channels and they want to grow, but they still are of the belief that subscribers and views are what matters for growth. I want to make this video to tell you the most up-to-date information and strategy for YouTube channels. I've been posting on the platform for 5 years and I now have 2 YouTube channels, this being my second one, where I talk very candidly and very honestly about the YouTube growth journey, my experience, and everything that I've learned. So in this video, I want to talk you through 3 key metrics that matter right now that are gonna either make or break your YouTube channel. The final one is the absolute key for anyone who wants to make YouTube their full-time income in the long term. And the first metric is click-through rate. You might be thinking, well, click-through rate is kind of like views, right? And no, it isn't. And I'm going to explain why, and it's going to be very clear when I talk about the second metric. Click-through rate is basically how many people out of the ones that were shown your thumbnail, your video, how many of them chose to click through into it. And that basically assesses the quality of your packaging. So your thumbnail, your title, and I would maybe include the hook in here as well, because I think there's a minimum requirement of how long they're staying for that view to be actually counted in. The thing that determines is the quality of your packaging. And packaging is everything right now in the YouTube game. It is, I would say, the 80%, if we think about the 80-20 rule, the 80% of what determines the results of your channel and how well you do, and actually gives yourself the best chance of people seeing the good quality videos that you make, because they might be the best videos in the world on your topic, but if someone doesn't like the way that your thumbnail looks, if it's just not intriguing enough, they're just not gonna find out what a good video it is. And with click-through rate, I'll give you an idea of some numbers. Around 10% click-through rate is considered a good kind of industry average for people who are active on the platform. The thing that I would say, if you are a beginner, if you're a small channel, or especially if you've been kind of playing around with different niches and you've maybe pivoted, yours might be lower. So the thing that I would say is, yes, there's 10% as kind of this benchmark that you can aspire to. You need to consider the average for your channel. What is your average click-through rate? And after you've been posting videos for some time, the YouTube Studio will start giving you those analytics. It takes some videos for it to gather that and actually understand what is your average in a reliable enough way. So you need enough quantity to get some numbers like that. But after that, the way that it's going to assess your click-through rate is in relation to your own videos. So that's the stuff that you really need to get right, because if you don't get that right, steps 2 and 3 actually don't matter from this video. So this is very much the priority to fix. If you're finding that your packaging is not doing as well, it's something that you need to dedicate disproportionate amount of attention and time to. Keep an eye out on what others are doing in the industry, not necessarily in your niche, but just generally, and just keep note of the things that grab your own attention as a viewer. I hope that if you're posting on YouTube, you're probably quite active on the platform as someone watching as well. I definitely am. YouTube is my absolute go-to platform where I spend so much time, more than on anything else probably. And whenever I see a thumbnail that I really like, that makes me go, oh, okay, I'm definitely going to click on that, I note down a couple of things. First of all, I might just take a screenshot of what that thumbnail looks like and I'll save it in an album. But secondly, I'll also note down if there's a particular phrase or text that caught my attention. And then in the back end, I have a Notion kind of database of all my ideas and thoughts and things I want to try. And I just add it in there so that I don't forget what has actually sparked that curiosity in me, so that I can not even always replicate it word for word, but just have an idea of what good looks like. And if you're listening to this thinking that, well, this still kind of sounds the same as views, no. And here's the reason why. And the reason is the second metric that YouTube very actively uses to judge how good or bad your video is, and its average view duration. The thing that this serves to determine is, after people clicked through to your video, how happy are they to keep watching? And that relies on a few different things. First of all, if you create a very gimmicky thumbnail and title that just really grabs people's attention because it's so shocking, but then they click through and they find out that actually that's not what the video is about, or it's not kind of as shocking as they thought it would be, then they'll be disappointed and they'll click off. And because of that, your average view duration might be super low, even if your click-through rate is actually amazing. So that's why click-through rate alone and the views alone, they don't actually matter if people are not getting the value, they're not getting their expectations met with the video once they are in it and they're watching it. A word of caution on average view duration that, again, I'm discovering as I've been on the platform for so long. A word of caution is that it compares it again to your average in the same way that it compares it with the click-through rate. The thing that means is if you post videos of very different lengths, for example, if before you posted something that's 20 minutes long, but then your current video is, say, 8 minutes long, do not be disheartened if you see your average view duration be very low for this shorter video. It's simply because it's comparing that to videos that are longer, and your average is kind of dragged up simply by the fact that, if people watch an average percentage of your video, let's say they watch 50%, for a longer video, that just means more watch time. And you need to be very cautious with how you interpret this sort of stuff. If, on the other hand, your average view duration is lower, but your video is also shorter, that might be an alarm bell for you to actually look at, okay, how am I retaining people throughout the video? And what am I doing that might be causing a drop-off? Is it that I ramble too much, which sometimes I'm guilty of? Is it that I'm not maybe giving them the information that they find useful or surprising enough, or just serving the purpose that they came here for enough? All of those things might contribute to it, but what I want to tell you is that average view duration combined with click-through rate is what will determine how much your video is pushed or not pushed by the YouTube algorithm. But all of those things without this final step kind of don't matter if you want to make YouTube your career, if you want to make money out of it. And this is the stuff that you won't hear as much from channels that talk about, how to go viral and how to get the views and how to get subscribers, because honestly, none of that stuff matters if you don't get this thing right. Aspect number 3 that will determine the success of your channel, if you want to go full-time and if you want to make income, is your business ecosystem that sits alongside your YouTube kind of facade. The reason that I say that is kind of the facade, and I might be completely misusing the word, but the way that I see it is YouTube is a lead generator. It serves to get you to the right audience and then have it kind of congregate around your channel and serve as a pool of potential customers, people who are interested in the stuff that you talk about. But the thing that matters way more is actually how are you gonna go from, okay, I'm getting views or I'm getting subscribers or I'm getting whatever else, to I'm making money. And yeah, some people have this dream of I'm gonna get monetized on YouTube via the YouTube Partner Program. But reality is, first of all, that takes so freaking long, and we can talk about that in another video. And secondly, even when you get there, you might be earning like a couple of dollars and not more than that. And realistically, to earn enough from just AdSense alone, you need to be making videos that receive so many views that you kind of have to go for Mr. Beast sort of virality. With the educational content, if you're like me, if you create educational stuff that's meant to teach someone something, generally stuff doesn't tend to go as viral, and it's very hard to maintain any sort of virality consistently. So what this means is, if you want to make YouTube into a full-time income eventually, which I very much have the aim of, and I would love to do that someday, and that's what I'm working towards, the way to do it is to treat YouTube as your kind of marketing agency, your marketing work stream, and use it as a way to get to your clients. But once you get to them, how are you going to convert them to actually become a customer, to actually pay you? And usually the way to do it is to have some sort of freebie. It's some free online product. It could be a downloadable thing, it could be a template, it could be a quiz like I have on my main channel. And with that sort of stuff, you collect people's emails. That's the main purpose, is to build an email list. And then from there, you can, ideally, you would nurture that relationship and you would send weekly newsletter, weekly emails if you can. I'm not doing that yet because I don't currently have capacity to, and I'm not prioritizing it in my YouTube efforts. I'm putting time elsewhere. But ideally, you would do that. And then from your freebie, you would basically funnel people along to a paid offer. If you want, this can be staggered. You can go from, a very low ticket one first, something cheaper, to something more high ticket for people who got that one and were happy with what they got. Personally, at the moment, I'm just keeping it simple and I'm funneling people from something free to a coaching offer. And that's all that I'm doing at the moment. The reason that you need to be thinking about this now, it might seem like something very far-fetched and, oh, okay, you know, when I get there, I'll get there. You need to set this ecosystem up early before you actually get any videos popping off, because if they do, it's too late to actually create this net to catch it. You need to be kind of ready and everything being there, and then when you get, you know, a little streak of luck, a little maybe just particularly good videos that you have that starts being distributed really well by the algorithm, you will have a perfect system to actually capitalize on it. Otherwise, it's all kind of going to waste. And okay, it's nice to see a subscriber count go up, but ultimately, if you want to make money on YouTube, subscribers don't pay bills at all. It's them becoming your clients and paying you that actually pays the bills. If you want to be the first one to get my emails when I start sending them about YouTube strategy, everything that I've learned from the 5 years on the platform, and all the very hard-earned skills and advice that I can give you, then make sure to subscribe to my email list completely for free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it would just give me a signal that this stuff is helpful and people are finding it useful. And then when I actually, you know, create some capacity in my schedule to send emails, then you'll be receiving them and hopefully finding them very useful. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.